aircraft pilot had safely ejected from the aircraft. Immediately, first responders from Peterson Air Force Base, Colorado Springs, and El Paso County sprung into action to ensure the safety of the community as well as the pilot. We're now 90 minutes into the incident. Currently, we have the area isolated. Traffic is being maintained away from the area as a safety precaution only. The aircraft did not catch fire. They're sending hazardous material teams in from Peterson Air Force Base and from Colorado Springs in order to ascertain the condition of the aircraft and ensure that the fuel and hydrazine hazards are mitigated properly. Right now there's no hazard to the community. Everything is a precautionary measure. Our people train on this every day in conjunction with the community emergency responders to ensure that when an incident, unfortunate as it is mitigated properly in the best interest of the community. That's initial statement. Any questions, please?
The pilot's condition, where exactly did he eject? And can you give us an update on his condition right now?
We heard, this is all reported, that the aircraft pilot ejected south of the crash location. My initial reports are that the pilot's condition is okay. He's good. He's being taken in for medical observation. I don't have specifics, but I do know that the pilot is in pretty good shape.
Did he try to make a conscious effort to land this plane in the middle of an open field? It seems like a miracle that this thing landed where it did.
My initial report from the airport was that the aircraft was on final approach to the runway, and then they received a report of the aircraft down. I do not have specifics as to what may have led up to that moment.
He was headed to Peterson or headed to Colorado Springs Airport?
Colorado Springs Airport and Peterson Air Force Base are co-located. We used the Colorado Springs Airport runways.
Hydrazine, could you tell us what that is?
Hydrazine on a F-16 aircraft, it's about 7 gallons. It's an emergency fuel source that is used in the event that an engine shuts down. It is kind of like an alternate power supply to help restart the engine. Initial reports were that it may or may not have been activated, so that's one of the precautions our firefighters take. It's not it's an unfriendly chemical, and we want to make sure that that it's confined and treated appropriately.
Who investigates a crash like this? Does the Thunderbirds have their own squad to look into it? Is it the Air Force? Is it NTSB? Who looks into something like this?
When an aircraft from the Air Force goes down, there are several safety steps that take place. An interim safety board is immediately convened, and then there will be a greater safety board that is convened that will look at all aspects of this incident to determine multiple factors.
It is being reported right now that the president met with the pilot. Can you discuss that at all?
I can tell you that I received the report at 1:10 p.m. and immediately tried to get down here, and upon arrival saw Air Force One in the air, so I can't confirm what happened between those two time points.
Just clarify, he was taken to the medical facility at Peterson, or he was taken to a hospital in Colorado Springs?
I know he was the pilot was transported initially to Peterson, but I don't know the end location.
How soon would you expect the aircraft to be removed here? Will it be here a while they investigate it?
The aircraft will be here as long as necessary to ensure, one, that it is seen safe, two, that it is thoroughly investigated.
And in terms of the road, do we expect this to be closed for some time?
The incident commander is carefully coordinating the road traffic conditions with El Paso County Sheriff and Colorado Springs Police, and the road conditions will be reevaluated periodically, and I would expect more information to be released through the Sheriff's Department and through Colorado Springs Police.
Do we know the pilot's name?
We don't make it a common practice of disclosing names of potential injured people until we have the opportunity to notify their family. It's just a courtesy that we extend to all of our members.
In terms of inside Falcon Stadium, maybe some of us were there, I was, it seemed like the show ended strangely. Was that the case? Did it just kind of stop? I mean, some of the people have said it kind of ended bizarrely.
I did not get an opportunity to see the show. I was busy with media members who were covering the president's departure.
With The show was over, and he was on his way back to the airport here, right?
The show was over, and aircraft were heading back.
Okay.
We've seen some video of it, but can you kind of describe this crash scene as far as how intact the aircraft is, kind of how broad of a crash site this is?
In my 31 years of Air Force firefighting and public affairs, I've seen a number of aircraft crashes, and this one is in very good shape. The aircraft is totally intact. It did not catch fire. I think it's a testament to the exceptional pilotism of our Air Force Thunderbird pilot.
We're told he had to bail out fairly low. Can you talk about that?
Well, most of the time when an aircraft is coming in on final approach, they are coming in relatively low, and in emergency situation tends to impact that even greater.
Do you know if he made a distress call before he punched out?
I don't have any information regarding what may have happened in the air prior to the notification that a pilot had ejected his aircraft.
In the past years when they've come here for this graduation, has anything like this happened that you can remember in the recent years?
The last Thunderbird incident that I can recall, I believe, was up in Mountain Home, Idaho, a number of years ago. I've been here at Peterson for a number of years, and the aircraft and their pilots perform flawlessly in the years that I've been here.
Would it be customary to expect kind of a safety stand down as of today for the Thunderbirds until they sort this out, or would you expect them to keep performing at their next scheduled performance?
I think they're going to follow, the Air Force Thunderbirds will follow their protocol based on incident mishaps and based on the information that's presented through the initial safety board, and the accident investigation will determine what their appropriate course of action will be. And Air Combat Command Public Affairs in Langley, Virginia will be the command that which oversees the Thunderbirds. They'll be making determinations on that.
Any idea on whether the aircraft will be usable again?
I have no idea. It's beyond my area of expertise.
Do you know how much the plane is worth?
Right now, I can tell you that the Air Force Thunderbirds would have a lot more information on their aircraft than I do. We don't happen to have F-16s assigned, so I wouldn't have a good number for you.
Aside from when the president stopped to make contact with the pilot, did this have any kind of impact on Air Force One leaving?
Through my communications, I have not heard that this impacted the president's departure at all. However, it would be premature for me to state that there was no impact.
And again, you're not sure whether or not the pilot actually spoke with the president, is that correct?
That's a fair statement. I don't know the elements that may have happened between the two events.
So
We're
when he
receiving
ejected,
some
he
initial
was
word
already
that
fairly
they're...
low to the
Oh,
ground?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
When he ejected, he was already fairly low to the ground?
Typically on approach they have what's called a glide slope, and when an aircraft comes in, they start at an elevation that has a gradual descent to it. Being that we're only a few miles away from the airport runway, it is understandable that he would be on a downward descent relatively low to the ground in relation to standard flight operations.
We had received some initial word now that there's also a Blue Angel that had gone down in Tennessee. Is there anything that you've heard about that, or any coordination with the Navy? Have you heard any word about that?
Other than someone whispering in my ear 10 seconds before I went on camera with you all, I have no knowledge beyond that as to any Blue Angel event, but I can tell you that the incidents would be unrelated.
Thanks for your time, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you're still tuning in live here, that was Jeff